What? That's so funny.
All right, I got to stop it. Hold on. All right.
It's all good.
How are you doing?
Hey. Fairly good. Fairly good. Yourself?
Good. Yeah, I got my second shot, so
Oh,
I'm all primed, ready to go.
my second shot laid me out for 3+ days.
Yeah, my wife is not feeling great right now at all, so I'll see if I start feeling a little worse.
It hit me about 6-7 hours after I got it.
Okay.
And I got tired, and then I laid down, and this was 9 o'clock in the morning. I laid down about 2-3. Next thing I know, it's 8 o'clock at night. I am thirsty beyond all belief, just drinking water. And the next thing I know, it's 6 a.m.
Wow.
And when I woke up, every single muscle and joint hurt. My hair hurt.
Oh, geez.
My ears were like ding, 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 like a constant ring. And I was like that for 3 days. And then I just woke up on like a Tuesday morning, and I was like, oh, okay. And everything was back to normal. It was just the bizarrest experience.
Wow. All right. Well, hopefully, yeah. My daughter
So,
got the J&J shot, and
okay.
she also had the similar experience as yourself.
Oh, I got the Moderna. My kids, let me see, they go in tomorrow. Yeah, Wednesday. They go in tomorrow for their second. So I'm kind of figuring I'm going to have 2 kids at home that are just kind of horizontal.
Right. And you're in Austin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I was there 2 weeks ago.
Oh, really? For what?
For a conference, entrepreneurs organization.
Yep.
They did a little mini conference at the Hilton there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Oh, and well, next time you're in the city, give a holler. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. No, this was just sort of a jump in, do my thing, and get out. I was thinking about staying for the Saturday, but yeah. Anyway, so yeah, Austin is as if nothing happened.
Absolutely true. It is. How do I say this? The people are acting fearless. To me, they're acting like idiots. But that's just my opinion on the matter. You know, all the college kids, yeah, let's go to the bar, let's go get drunk, and and there's been so many bars cited here for overfilling and not maintaining spaces. Bars have lost their liquor license and they cannot get them back. The ABC just went, boom, done, you're finished. And some of these places had been around for 15, 20 years. Gone. You're done.
Okay. Well, that's good.
You violated state law. Have a nice day. And it was like over and done. I was like, wow. There was no warning. It was like, hi, let me see. Oh, you have 30 people too many. Here, kick everybody out. Here's your citation. Close the doors. You got 20 minutes. And the ABC police were there, the Alcoholic Beverage Commission, and they're like, so people are paying attention all of a sudden.
Okay. Yeah, we had a nice after party for the event.
Yeah.
And it was a closed. They rented like a second floor it was down in Rainy Street, so second floor of one of the bars, and nice big space. And then there was an after party.
Oh.
And went to some other bar, and wow, it was packed. And I was definitely about 30 years older than anybody else in the bar.
Yes.
There's this little group of us kind of in the corner, and I was like, okay, I'm going. I'll see you later. I didn't have a drink. I just walked in, looked around, walked out, because the music was loud and people were screaming. So
welcome to Austin. Yeah. When I go down there, it's like, I go down, my CPA lives downtown. So I'll go down and see her. My attorney lives downtown. I'll go down and see him. We'll go to a coffee shop or like a little hole in the wall where the college people don't go.
Right.
And we'll sit, dinner, boom, gone. But other than that, I'll tell you, once this mess is over, I mean, truly, truly over, Coming down at Halloween, it's you and about 300,000 of your best friends.
Right.
Crowded downtown.
Okay.
I've been down there twice many years ago, and it is lunacy. The police block off like 30 blocks this way, 20 blocks this way. If your car's there, guess what? Your car's staying till tomorrow. That's it. You're done. You parked, too bad for you. No car driving.
Okay.
And they just shut it down, and people are everywhere. It is absolutely crazy. And then the other big one is Eeyore's birthday from Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
It's the second Sunday in April. The University of Texas hosts it, and it's you and about 75,000 of your best friends.
Oh, geez.
Crammed into this massive park on the west side of the university, and they have it's a free festival. I mean, you have to buy the food and the beer and everything, but it's drum lines and bands and food trucks and face painting for the kids. It's a family thing.
Okay.
People come from hundreds of miles around. Two big events in the city.
Okay. Well, there's a few others too, probably, right? Like,
yeah, those are the two
limits.
Big ones.
Okay.
Those are the two, like, hi, I met you, whatever. But yeah, it's hundreds of thousands of people show up for those two. New Year's Eve is a little bit more sedate. It gets crazy, like, a little bit like New York City, but Halloween and Eeyore's birthday, those are probably the two biggest
Eeyore's
things.
birthday, I have to remember that.
Oh, I took my kids down there. God, it was you got to keep track of them because there's so much to do. I mean, it's just lunacy.
Right.
And it's like, okay, oh, they're on this drum line. Oh, no, they're on this maypole. And it was just like, at the end of the day, I was exhausted.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
But other than that, yeah.
I always try to do a run. When I'm in Austin, I always run. Then I ran up from the river up around the university, and I came back down to the river and whatever. Mm-hmm. And that big tower that's in the middle of the university. Yeah. As soon as I started running towards the tower, I started thinking of the movie Full Metal Jacket. Do you remember that movie when he says when he's talking about the sniper at the top of the tower? And I thought, geez, I hope it's not. I hope there's nobody up there right now as I approach the tower and then run around it. And fortunately, I made it.
Yeah, it's
all the dark things that go through your head in a 10-mile run.
They blocked it off. When I first got to Austin too many years ago, I used to run the river.
Yeah.
And so there's a 5-mile circuit where you go down on the north side, cross the bridge, come back on the south side, and then cross the bridge. And I lived downtown for a bit, and then I moved further up north. But the traffic back then was nuts. Today it's just unbelievable. But back then the traffic was nuts. And I'd say, screw it, go into the men's room, change, go run. And by 6:30, the traffic, and I'm catching the tail end of it out of the city. So I get my exercise in that way. So, but yeah, there's a lot to do down there.
Yeah.
Rainy Street. Yeah, that's that's one of the 3 party centrals.
Right.
Back then, you're going to laugh at this. Back then, when I first moved here, that was Drug Central USA. Anything and everything you wanted was in that little Rainy Street area.
Yeah.
A developer got real brave and built the first tower.
Was that the Van Zant one or something?
I'm sorry?
Van Zant?
Yeah, and it just kind of went like this. I have a very good friend of mine. He lives in Austria now with his wife, but he bought on Rainy Street in about 2011, 2010. He bought a condo unit. It's nothing major, 1,300 square feet, 13th, 14th floor. He's partway up the building, no big deal. $125,000.
Right.
He's listing it at 2.2 right now.
Oh my gosh.
And
Wow.
I'm like, Augustine, what? And he says, I'm 35. My wife is 32. He says, we're done. And I said, what are you going to do? And he says, well, she just sold her stuff. And he says, we haven't decided. And I'm like, kadoosh. I'm like, whoa. And his wife's an international lawyer. She works for some massive firm. And she's like, wants to go out on her own and just slow down her life.
Right.
And he says, yeah, we're selling everything, consolidating the money. And he says, we haven't decided where we're going to live yet. And I'm like, and he says, not bad for a little, it's funny. He goes, not bad for a little Latino boy. And I'm like, shut up. But yeah, he was one of the first buyers. And back then that was very expensive. I
Yeah,
mean,
no kidding.
120. Oh yeah, it was, but in the millions now, in the millions.
Huh.
And I'm like, you have a good life. If you ever get back to Austin, you come say hi.
Right.
But yeah, it's a nice area. It's too collegey. How's that?
Rainy Street or Austin?
Yeah, Rainy Street, Austin in general, but Rainy Street in particular. You get
Yeah,
the
definitely.
18 that want to get drunk up to like late 20s, early 30s. It's that kind of, oh yeah, it's Thursday. Let's get blottoed. I'll just call in sick tomorrow. That's the mentality.
Yeah, and then the 50-year-olds who are looking a little bit out of place while they're there. Yeah, same here.
Exactly. Hey, you're with your grandpa.
Um,
Anyway.
Yeah, all right. So let's talk about SWAT a little bit. And
absolutely. So ask away, or if you just want me to get into it a little bit.
Yeah, I think the goal of what I've been talking about is sort of connecting the merchants more to some of these Adobe experiences. And I think traditionally Magento has been very strong on the tech side, and we've always catered to a lot of tech people. And there is a missing part between what the tech person knows, what the sort of agency knows, and then what the merchant gets at the end of the day. And I have a strong, I know that all the merchants need to know these things, and why do they need to know these things? And then finally, like out of these pieces, like for example, SWAT, why would they need to care about it? And maybe they don't necessarily have to know how to run it, but they need to know that their partner or their agency or their developer is going to help them with this, and then help them work through the issues that come out of it.
Well, just a little bit of history, how SWAT got built, for lack of a better. I was handed a dev team almost 2 years ago, and the purpose was to help the worst of the worst clients that were constantly having problems, constant outages, customers were complaining, slowness, performance, whatever you name it. And we got these clients one by one. And over a course of a few months, we started seeing similar patterns. This was not configured, or this was configured but was wrong, or, oh, you didn't even install this, whatever these pieces may be. And we started putting a massive list together. Then we started writing scripts. So instead of having to manually check them, every time we got a new customer, hi, just run this script. Here's a list of the 10 things that we knew we could go check and either sign off or yes, they have a problem. As we started doing this, engineering team says, hi, can you check this or can you check that? And all of a sudden we had a full-blown script. No UI, just a script that the internal team wrote. And I sat with the devs one day and I'm like, this is way too much work. In the first year of us doing this, we hit 114 customers. That's like 2 a day, including weekends. It was just too much. And I said, this isn't going to scale unless I get more developers or more engineers or more PMs. And I said, can we just write like a UI and put the results by customer up there? And then I can turn it over to the CSMs, the customer success managers, and train them to go talk to their clients. I said, economies of scale. And that's what started this whole thing. And it was just, what issue and what's the recommendation? Since then, as you've seen, this thing has just full blown out, that there's information about the site all in one place, services and components, recommendations on issues, analyzing exceptions, analyzing alerts, analyzing their patches now. Within a couple weeks, they'll be analyzing security vulnerabilities from these security scans. And we built a single unified dashboard with the sole purpose that once the customer gets there, they can self-service. They can take care of these problems themselves. Now, whether it's the customer, their SI, their partner, the agency, third-party consultant, but it's all self-service. That was the whole intent, to take the workload off initially L1 and also some of L2 engineering, so that those folks could actually concentrate on problems, critical things like complete site outages or something crazy that happened during an install. So we chose to build the UI. We ran it a few months internally. And then I said, let's go. We're going to turn this loose on everybody at no charge. Now, the no charge got a little bit of pushback, but everybody agreed this was a good thing. So now, if you are on version 2.4.1 or higher, from a customer's Magento admin panel, the back end, you can get into SWAT under certain conditions. You're on the correct version or higher, and B, that you have the role of SWAT added to your admin profile. And that's critical, because Magento will not opt in anybody. The customer has to opt in.
Okay.
And so customer can control the access of who can get into SWAT and who doesn't. For example, do you need your sales admin going into SWAT? Yeah, probably not.
Right.
So rather than opting in 40 or 50 people, depending on the size of your company, hi, you just tell the 3 or 4 people that want it, and away you go. Now, once they're in there, it's going to tell them, what's the issue? Here's how you fix it. Real simple. And if you follow the instructions, you're going to fix whatever issue that we found. If you do have questions, right on the recommendation, there is a link. Submit request to L1, and it comes in to the L1 team as a SWAT request. They know to jump on those immediately. So you kind of bubble to the top of the heap.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well. Yeah, as well as the SWAT developers are watching that queue as well, besides their normal work. So as we see things come in, we're all over it, because the customers made the effort. They want to know what's going on. They have a question about the recommendation. Let's go help them as fast as we can. And what now? It's an economy of scale, unified dashboard. And some of the other things that we've been able to do is we've branched out with SWAT to all sorts of areas. So for example, in a few weeks, like I said, security scan is going to be up there. It will take you from the SWAT, open up a new tab, and take you to the detailed security scan analysis. We have New Relic linked in now. So it will take you to New Relic, the general panel, but we also added a new feature called Mage State. And it shows you all the critical conditions and thresholds on one page. We've purposely built this page that you can take a look and take snapshots of your site over a period of time instead of having to search for things. So if your site's slow, you can just go down and go, oh, here's my slow queries. Oh, oops, what's going on? And be able to A, at least fix it, or B, put a ticket into L1 and saying, I can't here's what's going on, but I can't figure out why.
Right. Okay. And I know we spoke last year. This is only available for cloud customers. Is this now available for everybody?
Currently, yes. And that's a good segue. Currently, what we do is we use SSH protocol to go out to an environment and pull data. And that works with cloud. However, it won't work with on-premise customers, customers that are hosting themselves. So we're literally a few weeks away from releasing what's called the client agent. And it is an agent that we've built, the binary file. It will sit on an individual environment, whether it's cloud or whether it's on-prem. It's got an immutable cron sitting in the background when to trigger to send data. So we don't go out and reach anymore. Data's pushed into the SWAT environment, and SWAT is a self-contained database with a couple thousand tables already.
Right.
And so what we do is we have, for lack of a better word, we have a queue or a catcher's mitt. Every time data comes in, it gets pulled, analyzed, and the site's updated. And we pull data right now every 3 hours.
Okay, that's good.
So in a couple of weeks, this agent will be available. It'll automatically be deployed for all cloud customers. On-premise customers, there'll be a link to a public Git that you can pull it down with instructions on how to install it on, because it needs to go on every node. Because if you have a node go down, you still want SWAT reporting. So it gets installed on every node and it pushes data, and we analyze it constantly now. And the site's up, the SWAT site's up 24 hours a day.
Okay.
So worldwide coverage.
Wow. Okay.
So that's going to take care of the cloud and the on-premise customers. And there's an internal, what do we do with the open source customers? And that's a question right now that we're working through with the product team. But this will cover a high majority of the customers that Magento has.
Okay. Wow, that's exciting.
Yeah.
That's very exciting.
A lot of changes coming.
Yeah. I do, and I know you sent me your deck, your slide deck, I think, for Meet Magento India.
Yes.
So I'll share that. I don't know where I should share it. I guess there's actually a recording for that.
There's a few recordings out there for that. And if I find another one, I'll send it to you. In fact, I'm doing one this Thursday morning for the EMEA partners.
Okay.
Again, I've done 4 in EMEA. This will be the 5th. So a lot of customers are upgrading. That's why a lot of customers are going up to 2.4.2, 2.4.1.
Yeah.
And it's educate them on why they need to get into this tool and why they need to at least once a week go take a look and see what's going on.
And how are you seeing customers? How are you seeing end users getting benefit? Are they using it?
All right. So the two scenarios. One is the SWAT report, because that's how we started it. It was a PDF of the issues and recommendations. What we found is that the customers that are actually receiving SWAT reports from their CSM or from L1 or from me actually are taking an active interest in fixing issues. They're actually going through one by one, updating, testing and in staging, deploying to production. Okay, let's get on to the next one. And they're doing them one by one. And the reason is that if you do everything at once and you have an error, you don't know where the error came from.
Yeah.
But we're seeing that those actually receiving the SWAT report are actually taking an active interest in the performance of their site based on the 4 pillars. And I'll just mention those. I should have mentioned them earlier, is performance, availability, functionality, and security. They're taking an active interest. They want their site great because, as you well know, if a site's good, I'm going to keep coming back. Visitors will keep coming back. If you have a bad site or a slow site, you're going to go find your product somewhere else.
Right.
So,
yeah, absolutely.
So those getting SWAT reports are very good. Now with the rollout of 2.4.1, 2.4.2, we are seeing customers upgrading. And what we're seeing is an increase on a week over week right now, because it just started literally this January. On a week over week, we're seeing about a 10, 15% increase in 2 things. One is engagement, meaning that they came in and got engaged with the SWAT dashboard. But the biggest number that we're looking at is the adoption. It means that they keep coming back. It's just not a one-time. So the engagement is, oh, I went there and looked. Oh, how cute. The adoption is, oh, I came back Wednesday. I came back Friday. I came back the following Monday. And those are the folks that are constantly paying attention and want their e-commerce site to work. Those are the folks that we're really, really helping. And the ones that are slow to adopt, working with the CSG team, the Customer Success Group, and every quarter we're going to start sending out communications saying, here are the top 10 issues, take a look. And we're going to send them specific targeted audiences 4 times a year saying, go take a look at these issues, your site's having them, go get them fixed. So that's another avenue that's coming out of the SWAT thing as well.
Yeah, I think for us, anyways, it's very exciting. I interviewed Yissa Rietzma about we talked about this new Hoofa theme. It's a different front end for Magento and how it's increasing performance. And I think there has been this myth that Magento is slow, and every part of a myth, there's some truth in it, right? And I think part of this is that this is allowing people to take some control over their site, and it's very exciting to see this happening. And I guess I want to thank you for pushing this forward. But I think that from the merchant side, and again, I want to stress that we really are looking at how can the merchant participate in this, and that they should be asking their developer or their agency about this tool. And I think it'd be even more interesting to hear about the merchant saying, hey, I found this issue. How come you didn't find this issue? Not that we ever want to point fingers, but myself sitting as an agency, we've had that experience where we have a technical merchant and they come back to us and said, well, why didn't you find this issue?
Well, it's funny you say that. We have quite a few merchants that are heavily engaged in this project. Some of them were some of my EAP customers, the early adopter program with the SWAT report, and then the early adopter with the actual UI. And they are coming back saying, could you build this check? We just read this dev doc and you don't have this check yet. And I'm like, okay, I'm embarrassed. Got it. So they are actually asking for other checks. And it's gone so far as that we've engaged internally with the PWA team, and they are actually developing issue checks for PWA to check on front-end development as well. Things like code, configuration, are you on the correct version? So those will be coming very soon, trying to get ahead of the curve instead of customers. But the two other big things is that on our backlog, as soon as we get done this client agent, is what's a overall healthy configuration look like for example, a small, medium, large, extra large environment, from a Soho mom and pop to somebody that's, in the, billion of dollars of revenue. What do these configurations look like? So we're working with engineering to put a configuration together, and that'll be another type of check. Oh, here's your site based on your GMV, based on your infrastructure. You should have these configuration sets. If they're not right, we're going to put it up on SWAT. The other piece of this expansion is something called opportunity. This came out of actually a Singapore CSMs. They're saying, can you please make a note? It doesn't have to be an issue because it's really not an issue, but can you create another tab called opportunity? And I'm like, I don't know what this means. They explained it as, are customers using features that are built into Magento? A, have they turned them on? And B, are they using them within the thresholds, low to high? And I was like, oh, it's a configuration. And they're like, no, it's not. It's an opportunity to use features. And I'm like, oh, so we're going to start doing feature analysis that's going to be coming out, because Magento is so wide and so deep that there are features that many customers just don't know about, or they don't know how to use. And so we're going to start analyzing, oh, look, we're seeing this kind of business. Have you turned on this feature yet?
Yeah, that's a great one. The other one too would be the feature overlap, where somebody has either moved from open source or moved into enterprise or commerce, or they've purchased a module that does something that already exists in Magento
Yes.
commerce. That would be a great one, because I can't tell you how many times I've heard that honestly, for us and for any agency, where the project manager has just said yes to some module that the client comes along and they want it installed, and nobody asks any questions. And then one day there's an architect reviewing the project and they're like, why do you have gift cards installed? Or why is there an RMA module installed? And they're like, we wanted RMA. Well, RMA comes with it.
It's native.
Yeah.
It's funny, right before COVID, about 13, 14 months back, we had an on-site with a large customer. They came to Austin and we sat with them for 2.5 days, and we analyzed their extension packages. There was 115 of them. And when we got done, to your point, we found 50 of them were native features in Magento themselves. And they just started peeling these things off that they didn't need. And they were absolutely stunned on how much performance the site got after all these other extensions were removed that were not needed.
Yeah.
So that's a very good one. I just took a note and I'll get that into the backlog tonight.
Yeah, I think one thing that it is, Magento is great because it does everything and it allows you to do everything. Yes. It's not great because it allows you to do everything. And I can't tell you how many customers see something and they do something and then it's installed and then it's next thing is going in and the next thing is going in. And the more you add to that, the more it will bog down the system. But from an upgradability standpoint, the more complexity you add, the more cost you have over time. Mm-hmm. And so, just that analysis alone would be invaluable to any client. And I love that opportunities tab. That's a great idea.
Part of it too is over the next probably late summer, fall time, once the upgrade tool becomes stable and accessible. Right now, it's in beta about how you upgrade the upgrade tool. We are actually going to integrate that into SWAT, so that if you're on x.x.x version and the latest is x.x +1, it will tell you you're going to have problems here, 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 or you need to upgrade these pieces before you upgrade the actual Magento version. So we've been talking with the team that is writing the upgrade tool, and they are going to be building an endpoint API for us that will just go out and, hi, here's the version the customer's on, here's the version they want to go to, and we'll put the analysis right up on the SWAT dashboard so that people will be able to see it and say, A, pretty simple, or B, you got some work to do.
Yeah.
So that'll be extremely helpful.
Yeah, well, I think one of my earlier interviews was with Christoph Ringlis. He owns FooMan, and he's been around for forever in the Magento community. And he talked very specifically about how extensions are written, and if you don't explicitly make sure that they work with the next version, then customers can just upgrade their site without worrying about that extension. But it also means that extension is potentially going to break your store when you do your upgrade. So the flip side is making it explicitly not able to upgrade until you've upgraded and tested against a version.
Yeah, and some of the new features too that are being they've been added to future versions of not only provisioning but actually deployment process, is that when you deploy from staging into a production environment, the deployment process is going to reach into the SWAT database, and any P0s or P1s, which are critical, they're site down issues in heavy traffic scenarios. It will actually pop up a UI saying, you have P0s and P1s on your current deploy. You sure you want to push this into production?
Oh, that's really good.
So it'll be an additional check prior to customers pushing and potentially having problems in their production environment. And I've just got through about 2 weeks ago working with the deployment team and the engineering team saying, look, we already have an endpoint for this. You just have to come and get the data. And then put a UI, yes, click box. I want to override it or whatever the feature is. And that way we know, yeah, the customer consciously overrode the warnings and deployed and their site goes down. At least we have knowledge or a narrower band to find out what caused it instead of trying to guess.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, and hopefully it stops them. Hi, you have 4 P0s. Hopefully they do not deploy. They go fix them first.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's all this goes just back to that point of making sure that you've measured it, that you've checked it, and you've asked that question before you do it.
Right.
Otherwise, you're flying blind. You're just, hey, let's just do it. Hopefully it works.
Yeah, well, there's been customers, as you well know, that just, they deploy and unfortunately they didn't check in staging and then their production's down and they don't know why. Or even a worse scenario is they're making changes in production and then the following Tuesday, they do a deploy out of staging and all their work they did in production is overridden and they don't know why Magento's not working anymore.
Right.
So all these features and safeguards are being, thought through and designed such that giving the control back to the customer. Hi, it's your site. We're telling you, here's the low end, here's the high end. You can bounce in between. And if you stay bouncing in between, your site's going to work great.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of this is all about, making sure that the customer's successful.
Good. Yeah, no, it's fantastic. I appreciate all the hard work and the enthusiasm for it.
I'm just a product and a feature guy. It's the devs I give credit to. Trust me, they're the brain children. I come up with craziness and they go, what? And I'll explain why, and they go, oh, we get it. And then they come back and say, will this design work? And it's much like when I said I want to hook SWAT to the Magento admin panel. They thought I was off my rocker. They're like, it'll never work. 2.5 months later, not only was it working, but it passed Adobe compliance and Adobe security audit.
Wow.
So there's an incredible dev team building on this thing.
Yeah, and personally, I think that's the best idea in the whole world. Get them all in that one spot, so the client's going to be in their admin anyways. That's what you should tell them.
Yes.
All those performance things and all those issues should show up right there.
One place, everybody's in there. Hi, this is the best place for it. But I'll tell you, it was a very funny conversation one day, and they're like, "It'll never work." And I'm like, well, sure it will. And here's me on a whiteboard with dry erase, and they're like, you're missing a security issue. And I said, no, that's your problem. You guys figure that out, but this is going to work.
Right. Right. Yeah, good one.
Here's the challenge. But it was a 2.5-month development effort of 4 out of the 5 engineers got involved. And away we went. Then we got the documentation people involved. And then right before we're launched, you got Adobe security and Adobe compliance involved. And they're beating on it to make sure there's no leaks. And they signed off and boom, done. So that's the kind of innovation that this tool is bringing to the company.
That's great. And what's coming down the road? What's in the pipeline?
Very quickly, I talked about the client agent that should be out in EAP in just a few weeks. Part of it also is we're going to start using the SWAT recommendations to respond to support desk tickets. So we are going to start picking up the metadata that the customers key in, keywords, metadata, drop down boxes, and we will match that the input of the support desk ticket into the SWAT meta tags. When we get a match, SWAT will automatically respond to that ticket with the actual recommendation and then put the ticket into pending, waiting on the customer to respond. If there's a response, L1 engineer, a human being, will pick it up and look what SWAT told them to do, and then look at if there's any other issue. If not, 7 days later, the ticket will automatically close. The reasoning behind this automation is that it's going to allow the actual engineers to focus on critical problems instead of simple things that an automation tool. For example, how do I remove my Magento banner? I don't use it. Real quick, here, boom, follow these 6 steps, gone. How do I upgrade, or how do I change my op cache or my real path cache? These are things that human beings don't have to spend time on. We're just going to give you the answers. What's going to happen is that Magento will be able to do more with the same or less people. And so that's coming into the 3rd and 4th quarter of this year as well. And there's other integrations. For example, we're going to be hooking into ServiceNow, which is the Adobe Managed Services support desk ticket system for our larger customers. We've already been asked can we put these customers in SWAT? And I'm like, why not? So there's integration points there. We've integrated all the way back into our Salesforce app. So we're pulling data out of our Salesforce that's soon to be Microsoft Dynamics. So we'll be pulling contract information that the customer can see all their contracts. The CSM can all see it all in one place. So time of renewals or time of upgrades, instead of having to search for stuff, as everybody does, it'll all be in one place that the CSM can sit and have a conversation with the customer, and they're looking at the same data. Hi, wow. This is the latest contract information. Here's your latest entitlements. Here's what's going on with your site. Let's start talking renewals. And it's going to actually speed up the process, giving customer literally real-time information to make decisions about how wide or how high their site needs to be. So there's a lot that in the backlog.
It sounds like it. Do you envision there being regular public APIs for this eventually that say we as an agency who want to use something else that's not ServiceNow, or we can tie our own ticketing system into it as well for some level of automated support?
That has been asked for by a few customers, and the answer is yes. We just have to figure out how to do it. We've been asked to tie in not only support tickets from other outside systems, but we've been asked, can we put our own support ticket number onto one of the issues so we can tie our ticket system to SWAT? When somebody sees it, they know, oh, we've already got this covered.
Right.
So we're looking into things like that as well, to be able to give the customers access and readability. The other thing too is we've been tossing around building APIs or a microservice. We haven't quite figured out. Customers want to write their own issue checks. Here's the script. Put your code in the middle. It'll just run for your site only.
Right. Yeah.
And so we've been kicking that around. How could we run those as well? Because we have the data. It's just literally developing the script and the code to run checks. So that came up from a few customers out of the EAP about 7 months ago. And we've been kind of kicking around, how could we do that without impacting SWAT as a whole? So that will be coming down the road shortly too.
One of the things that I see customers doing that will slow down their site is loading huge images on their banners or whatever through their, on their homepage. They put it on where the worst place they put on, and they have 7 rotating banners, and each banner is a gigabyte. I'm generalizing, but
nope, you're not.
Then they say, hey, our site is over the last month, it's gotten incredibly slow.
We had a client, and I wouldn't say it's the customer's fault. I'm not pointing fingers, but they were a new client. They had very junior developers, very junior web developers, and they were using that swatch thing, the rotating images. Well, they loaded up 3,000 images. All of them were about a meg. Their site was taking about 12 seconds, not nanoseconds, 12 seconds to load. And they couldn't figure out what was going on. And one of the dev engineers goes, okay, stop. And he told them how to use the swatch, how to load and unload. And we took them down, and the response time was incredible. From that, we developed an issue check about image sizes.
Okay.
So we have that check now. If you're over a certain in this area or that area, we check. We let you know where this image is too big. The other thing is that we've also integrated Google Lighthouse for speed for page speeds. So we're actually doing analysis. So if you get down on the lower end of life, we're going to put up, hi, you have an issue with your page loading, whether, it could be, CSS minification or JS bundling. I mean, it could be anything. But if you fall down, we've got those scripts and those checks already written, and they're active.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So, yeah.
I think for us,
like I said, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, it sounds like it. One of the most frustrating things that we see is when a non-Magento sort of SEO agency comes in and starts looking at the site and then hands us a packet of errors or a packet of issues that they would like to get updated without knowing anything about Magento. So I think that definitely this would be something where you could sort of counter and help the client. Because sometimes the client's just frustrated with the speed of their site, and they go and they find the XYZ agency that's excellent at making their site fast, and they come back and say, here's all the dumb things your agency has done, and here's why we're going to fix them all.
And they don't always work because they don't understand Magento.
Exactly.
And that's unfortunate. I've seen that with a few customers that, and the agencies, not to knock them at all, the agencies are very good about speed and security and search engine optimization, but some of these agencies are lacking the underlying fundamentals of how Magento works, why Magento works, and why there are certain ways to do things better. And that's what we're attempting to build into SWAT, to be able to give them a view of the actual application running. It's to me, it's like a monitoring tool. Here's Magento running, and here's SWAT monitoring what you built, and it's telling you, hey, wait a minute. And that's why I really want customers to get up on 2.4.1 or higher and start using this tool as fast as they can. Their sites are going to get better immediately, just fixing stupid things. Just literally, I mean, just simple. Hi, change this in the YAML. Boom. Oh, wow. What happened here? And we're seeing those types of effects. And some of it is, the agency or the SI didn't know, or they have a pre-formed template that they stamp, and then they go from there. And as Magento releases patches or versions, their templates aren't being updated. So all of this tool, this site-wide analysis tool, is there to show them, hi, here's what's going on. And just so you're aware, as we build new issue checks, some issue checks are sunsetted. So as we EOL, end of life certain versions, we end of life certain checks because they've been fixed in the other in the newer versions. So SWAT is it's literally a living product. It's not a one and done. It's constantly being built. I'll just tell you flat out, I have over 300 items in my backlog right now.
Okay.
And the backlog is massive. And every week, we run 2-week sprints, but every week I go through with the dev manager, and we prioritize based on new information, and we kind of, prioritize, and then here's the sprint, go. And then we start working on the next sprint while the developers are working on the current sprint. So it's constantly being checked and reviewed to get the most benefit that we can out of every sprint. And So everybody knows we deploy every 2 weeks. So we run a 2-week sprint, put it through QA for 2 days, and then we deploy on that following Wednesday. So we're deploying every 2 weeks with whatever we've done. So the site is constantly being updated.
So the end user would start seeing those, they would start seeing new things, or they can see new things every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks, they'll see new checks, they'll see new information. Like, for example, today, I just added the B2B configuration. So it's on the site details on the information tab of the dashboard. It tells you all about your B2B stuff, and there'll be some more in 2 weeks. So that I just literally configured that today. The developers build it, and I have my own little back-end UI that I sit and move things around. So I added that today. So that just went up there, and they worked on that last week. So every 2 weeks, you'll see something, new feature out there.
Will it tell you when there's a feature that you haven't turned on? So, for example, B2B, you have to turn that on from the back end.
From the back end,
people may not know that they even have it.
The one that we put in just today, it says B2B installed, and it's a yes or a no.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so they can ask a question.
It's literally, and then the next things are for the B2B is, did you turn on your workflow? They're building that one now because B2B has certain workflows. Do you have a workflow running in the background?
Mm-hmm.
Have you actually configured your B2B categories?
Okay, yeah. So that's where that's where I was going to go next. Is are you using these things, and does this feature that you could be using fit into your business model? And I think that's kind of where that opportunities tab went, or is going to go as well.
Yes,
I think that would be a great one.
That's exactly where this is going to go. If you're a B2B, here's everything. For example, here's a real easy one. Are you using asynchronous email? During heavy traffic, heavy campaign times, you're expecting 4x, 5x, 20x types volume. Little flip. Hi, get your emails going asynchronously so it's not in parallel, so you're not waiting for the email to spin. It'll just put it into a queue and it'll send out emails, and customers can keep going through their cart.
Right. Yeah.
Just little things like that. Now, do you want it on all the time? It depends on your business logic. It depends on how you run your corporation, but just little things. And those are going to be up on that new tab. Here's a feature. Here's an explanation. Does it make sense for your business to have it on? Yes or no? If it is, here's the instructions. Go test it in staging. And again, test everything in staging. I can't say that enough.
Rule of thumb, always test.
Yes.
In staging, not on live. I remember I did all the videos for Adobe a couple years ago for their upgrade from Magento 1 to Magento 2. I don't know, a series of 12 videos or something. And every single time I said, make sure you test. Don't do this with live data. Take a backup of your database. Don't do it on your live site ever.
Ever. And customers, I get it. They're in a rush. They want the latest, the greatest. They want their visitors to have the best experience. And a lot of times they kind of skip that step, and it is so dangerous. Hi, we'll just change things in production, and all of a sudden their site's down for 4 hours.
Right.
It would have been better if your staging was down for 4 hours and your developers go fix it. Now you're not selling anything. And, these are things that we really, truly want to avoid, because it does the customer harm, because now their visitors are saying, I'm not going to go there again. And that's not a good thing.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
That's why, to your point, test. If you have load test modules, put a load test on staging. Just beat the living daylights out of it. It takes an extra day, then push to production.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many issues have come out. Everything works great with one user, and then as soon as you add 1,000 users, the whole thing collapses.
Yeah, the site stops.
Right. Reasonable amount of people, then it kills the site.
and it's the key phrase that you just said, reasonable amount of people. I mean, there are some sites. We have a large customer, and they had a campaign over this past retail season, and their estimates were 4x customer volume on this specific day. When they got done the analysis after the retail season, they hit it 12x.
Yeah, that always happens.
And I was like, thank God they had pulled a SWAT report with us in September. We went through a review in October, and every single thing that we had, they were fixing, changing, and testing. And all I can say is thank God they did that, because the site didn't even notice the volume. It just kept going. There was some slowness every now and then, but the site didn't go down. And I was like, we did a good job. And
Yeah.
that's what I want the customers to be able to do, saying, I don't care, throw volume at me, my site's going to rock.
Good. Well, we only have a couple minutes
left.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. But my theme has been in the last couple of weeks how Magento can be there with the other SaaS partners, but still give you that flexibility. Last week, I interviewed Aaron Moss. He does this tool, MDoc, and it's basically some automation and CI for developers to use to get a snapshot of a Magento site so they can do all their work on their own. And what it does is it helps the merchant to understand that you can work on all these different parallel buckets of work without having to have your only thing there. Like in a SaaS world, maybe you get a staging and maybe you get a production, right?
Maybe.
Half the time a merchant on their production site is going to go on, and sometimes they're going to hit a couple of configuration items and it collapses. Because of whatever the configuration is. This gives them the ability to go back and do some of these things in a different environment and then deploy those to live, even configuration items. And I think what we're doing here and where we're going is that we're giving the client the flexibility of having a fully customized and on-prem or cloud-based system, a PaaS system or an on-prem system, with the ability to also have a lot of extra checks that you wouldn't have on a traditional SaaS platform. And this gives them not only the flexibility and control, but also the visibility to see some of those things that are happening deeper inside your code, and whether they know what to do with it or not. There's a way for them to let's just pick up the phone and call your agencies. Why didn't you check this? Or why didn't you get this? Or I love the idea of just putting in a ticket directly to Magento and having them also look at it. I think that's fantastic.
Well, part of it is with this tool, the site-wide analysis tool or SWAT, is we're identifying issues, but the biggest boon is here's the recommendation on how to upgrade or fix the issue. Here's all the documentation with it as well. And if you have questions, just click. We give you the link. Click. It'll open up the support desk and you can go talk with these folks immediately, because as a customer, I want immediate response. I want to know. I don't want to have to go mess around. Hi, let me get somebody and let me get this thing fixed because this is what I'm working on. And that's the goal of this tool. It's like I have been saying, if the customer is successful, their visitors are successful, they're going to stay with Magento. Their customer is going to get more revenue. The visitor is going to be happy. The visitor is going to come back, and everybody wins. And that's the basis behind this tool, is giving the customer the tools they need. As you said, the tools they need to be able to maintain and literally upgrade their sites.
Yeah, and the exciting part is that they can do whatever they want. They can add all the features they want, and they can get some real-time feedback of when they added those 115 new modules. What did it do to the performance of the site?
Right, and SWAT right now, like I stated, we run every 3 hours. We pull data, and as we get better, we'll probably be pulling data a lot closer, maybe every hour, and just and we keep this data. Our database is massive. We go back a year and a half of data, so we're able to see trending as well.
Yeah, that's exciting.
So part of it, we'll start doing site trend analysis as well per customer. So they'll be able to see, am I doing better or am I doing worse? And it'll help them make business decisions at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great.
So,
well, wow, it's already the top of the
yes.
hour.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. So
most definitely.
Yeah. Again, I thank you for coming on, and this is going to be a podcast. I will
excellent.
send you the link.
Please do. I'd appreciate that.